This is the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads, author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Make More Money Selling Your Art, Proven Techniques to Turn Your Passion into Profit.
In the Marketing Minute, I try to answer your art marketing questions, and all you got to do is email me your questions, eric@plenairmagazine.com. Question from Marcia in Philadelphia, who says, can you speak to handling rejection as an artist? Rejection from an art gallery or rejection from a show? Thank you, Marcia. Rejection is a part of life. Rejection's a good thing because it gives us a thick skin. We get used to it, then it doesn't bother us. But as artists, we take everything so personally because we've personally invested ourselves in creating our art. But if you understand that rejection is part of a process, that it's nothing personal, that it's supposed to happen. You never got 100% on every test when you were in school. That's kind of like rejection. That's self-rejection, I suppose. But it's nothing more than things just aren't a fit. So don't take it personal. For whatever reason, you're not a fit for a show. Maybe you're not ready. You want to know if you're not ready rather than looking at it as, oh, they didn't like my work. Look at it as, well, maybe either I wasn't a fit or maybe I need to work on my work a little bit more. We all have to get better. I have this friend who's a sales trainer. Her name is Pam Lantos. She would stand two people on stage. One of them, she would stuff their clothes with $100 bills sticking out of their collar, their pockets, and everything else. And she would say to the other one, ask them for the order. And she'd say, that person would say, well, will you buy this from me? And that person would say, no. Every time they said no, that person would pick a dollar bill out of their clothes. And she kept asking, they kept asking, and they kept saying no, and they kept getting they kept getting the dollar bill. I'm all confused. Anyway, the idea is to train you to understand as a salesperson, and it's really true for an artist too. The more times you ask, you're going to get a lot of rejection, but if you get rejection, it's going to lead you to more dollars. So you just got to keep asking and just look at rejection as one more step towards getting into a show or getting into a gallery or getting the money. So anyway, I think that's a very important point to consider. Rejection is part of life. The next question coming from David in San Antonio, who says, I just sold my first painting to somebody who was a passerby when I was outside painting. I was working on it. I had no idea what to charge, so I just made up a $100 price. Was that a good price point? What should I charge in the future? Well, David, congratulations. You sold a painting outdoors when you were painting. That's a beautiful thing. Selling off the easel is wonderful. I'm proud of you. You made a sale. Great. Congratulations. The reality is there's no way I can answer your question. Is it a good price point? Is it good for you is the question. If you've never sold a painting and you got $100, congratulations. You paid for your paint and your canvas and a little bit of your time. So that's a beautiful thing. If you sold a painting, it's a beautiful thing. Now, if you put a couple hours into it, you get the satisfaction of knowing it's sold and you got $100, you can buy yourself dinner. Hey, why not? It's not bad. Now, the question is, where are you and where should you be? The real lesson here is that you need to be prepared for that question when you're outdoors painting. You see, it happens all the time. You probably felt a little bit lost because they asked you and you weren't expecting it. I've sold paintings off the easel a few times. The first time was kind of like, I didn't know what to say. I was blindsided. And I caved in and I gave a low price just like you did. And, that was cool. But when I started planning for it, I decided to try some techniques that I learned when I was a younger man, when I was in sales. For instance, there's a concept that suggests you never want to be the one to offer the first price. You want them to offer the first price. So if somebody asks me, and you can be ready for this, and they say, hey, how much is your painting? You can say, well, I don't know. What are you willing to pay? The reason that's important is because it can go any direction. Now, they will always tell you a lower price than they're really willing to pay. And you're always able to say, that's really not quite enough. Maybe you could offer a little bit more. And usually they'll bump it up because everybody always starts low. I know you probably do. I usually do. Now, what if somebody walked up to you and they're thinking, oh man, I'd love to own that painting. And if it's $500 or less, I'm going to buy it. And they walk up to you and they say, how much is the painting? And you say it's $100. They just saved themselves $400. But if you said $500, they might say, yeah, okay, because that's the perceived value that they had. Now, here's another thing you can do, because there's an old theory called if you talk price before value is established, you lose. So here's something I might do. Somebody walks up to me and says, would you be willing to buy your painting? I might say, well, what would you be willing to pay? And they'd say, well, I'm willing to pay this. I will oftentimes say, listen, usually when I finish this painting, I'm going to take it back to the studio, let it dry. I'm going to put some varnish on it, and I'm going to put it in a beautiful frame, and I'm going to ship it to my art dealer. My art dealer would sell this very painting framed for $2,500. But as you probably know, the art dealers usually keep about half. So here's what I'd be willing to do, is I'd be willing to sell you for half of that because I don't have a frame on it. Now, they might then say, well, would you cut another $50 because you're not giving me a frame? And I might do that. But if you've established value, you've said, I'm a painter who's in a gallery. I'm a painter who would normally get $2,500 for this. I'm a painter who deserves it. And now they might say no and go away, and that's okay too. You have to decide what's the price point before anybody walks up. You have to know in your mind. But if you just say, you blurt out, it's $2,500 or it's $1,000, they don't know you. It's like if they know you, if they have some credibility, if you say, hey, look me up, let me show you here on my website here, let me show you on my gallery website, look here, this sells for $2,500, the same size. So this is going to go to the gallery. But if you want to buy it from me for half, I'd be willing to do that because I'm only going to get half anyway. But that way you're not really discounting. Anyway, the point is that you want to be ready. Now, there's other things you probably want to be ready for, things like, do you give lessons so you can hand them a card or something like that? And so you always want to be prepared for what you're going to encounter. Anyway, there you go. That's the Marketing Minute.
This has been the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads. You can learn more at artmarketing.com.